Hey everybody, Questwise here, and in this video we're going to be talking about a supplement, a campaign setting for Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition that I had heard of for a while and then kind of forgot about, and then saw pop up by one of the authors and contacted him and said, hey look, I'm very interested in this, it looks really, really awesome. How can I go about doing a review of this campaign setting because it looks amazing. And I was able to find a site where I could get the game and the setting, read it over, talked with the one of the authors, Marquis Hattis. I'm sorry, Marquis, if I slaughtered your name there. Marquis Hartis. And this game is, or this campaign, I keep calling it a game because it feels like its own unique product using the 5th edition rules. And it is, this setting is called Scavenger. And it is not only a campaign setting, but it is an art book and a source book for all things set in the Scavenger world. And it's super unique, and I love that. I love D&D. I love every iteration of D&D. I've played every iteration of D&D. And while 5th edition is not my all-time favorite edition of D&D, I do enjoy it. I do enjoy its popularity right now, and I'm so glad that it's an open source for creativity for writers and designers. And I do play it quite often because it is, again, the most popular, and it's the easiest to sort of get people to catch on, jump on the hook with, because everybody's heard of it, and it's enjoying such a huge, immense amount of popularity right now that you can't ignore it. But sometimes the super intense high level of fantasy, super heroic fantasy, I guess, of 5th edition, sometimes it's sometimes, and my tastes sometimes vary a lot. I do this a lot in my tastes of fantasy role playing. Sometimes I really enjoy that super heroic version of fantasy, and sometimes I want that really old school, low grittiness of the older editions. What Scavenger does is it takes the core D&D rules and thrusts you into a world, or actually in this case 2 worlds, of gritty, magical awesomeness. There's so much in this. Currently the PDF is available, and I'll put a link down below to the page where you can find this PDF. And I was promised that the physical book would be out sometime beginning first quarter of next year, hopefully. And I know that I will jump on that the minute it comes out, because not only is this PDF beautiful to look at, the artwork is amazing, but the content of this world is so vastly unique to most everything else out there I have seen. Scavenger is a world, and like I mentioned earlier, it's actually 2 worlds. There's Arkara. It is a Bronze Age world that is dying. It's full of city-states. It's such a departure from that sort of medieval European fantasy, and we're looking at things like more African influences, Middle Eastern influences, Mediterranean influences over things like European influences in this game. These Bronze Age city-states of a world that is at the brink of apocalypse, and it is a dying world. A few centuries ago, in one of the city-states, in what they call the monolith, a portal had opened to another world called Torn. Torn is a world that is ancient beyond belief. It is an alien world full of ruins and artifacts and mysteries and magic. It is just the pinnacle of exploration. There's a lot of stuff to be found there. Now, Akara, the world that's sort of the main setting, is a world that had never known magic before. Magic was not part of its thing. It wasn't until the portal to Torn was opened that shard stone was discovered, and when brought back to Akara, it allowed people to interact with magic. And the shard stones are interesting because they could be immensely dangerous, and it's still shard science, and we'll get to that in a little bit. Shard science is such a new thing that's only been around, I believe the PDF says, for like 50 years, that people have been, tampering with these ideas, and it really sort of warps reality and the world around these shard stones. And so there's this really great aspect of how magic can sort of influence change for the better or for the worse of a world that has never known magic before. The idea is that you're playing a scavenger. You're playing a character that is out to explore Torn for their own good, for the good of Akara. The idea is that people are traveling to traveling to Torn to try to find some way of stopping the world from dying back in Akara. And most scavengers are that's their goal. The heroes are there. They're trying to find a way, some sort of secret mystery. They're trying to find some sort of artifact that will help them stem this tide. But not all scavengers are good. Some are very selfish, and they're looking just for personal gain, or personal wealth, or the power that comes with magic and these things found in Torn. Most of this book, which is 237 pages, at least the PDF is, the physical copy might be a little bit more, is on the history of these worlds. It is a sort of gazetteer of the city states in Akara. It is about the places, the notable places in Torn, some of the artifacts, the magic that can be found there, the idea of shard stones and whatnot. And then they take the second half of this book is taking 5th edition and making it unique to this world. So they do make some changes, changes to skills. That you're always going to use attribute checks as opposed to skill checks, and there's some little tweaks to how that kind of stuff works. But there's some changes in magic and stuff as well too, as well as classes and cultures that are available to play, which again, for the setting, needs to be done, and is done in such a great way. Just really awesome. Really fits the sort of grittiness of this world and the idea of this Bronze Age civilization. I get lots of feelings of like mythic Babylonia, mythic Egypt, hints of things like 1001 Arabian Nights. It's all in here, and it's very different from your traditional European-based fantasy of like D&D. And not all worlds are like that. Hopefully soon we'll see a Dark Sun setting, which was a complete departure from some of the other worlds like Forgotten Realms and Greyhawk. But this is that first step into something completely different, completely unique. And I'm telling you right now, I'm going to try to put up some of the artwork. I was graciously given the approval to use some of this artwork to show you just how wonderful this book is. So shard stones, we've talked about these already. These are magical stones that affect magic, and they can be used in several different ways. They can be used in artifice, put into some sort of a device, some sort of a weapon to enhance that device or that weapon. Blood cutting, which is a lot like blood magic, using a shard stone to cut, and in the way that you cut and where that you cut on your body to use blood magic to sort of power certain things. Shard science is kind of, at its core, it's your basic spell casting, but you're using the power of a shard stone to power your spells as opposed to, say, spell slots and levels. There are drugs, Torn drugs that have been distilled from things, places, plants, and whatnot from Torn itself that are completely alien to Akara, and new drugs have been created. So, warning: there are some rather adult themes, and it's not adult themes, but the idea of drug use and a lot of violence. And then five, prayer and ritual, the using a shard stone as a sort of conduit to some sort of higher power or some sort of alien power. Uh, are different ways that the magic system has been changed in Scavenger. There are new cultures available to play. There are Karans, which are your sort of typical humans. They do have some different abilities. They do have some different aspects to them than normal humans in any other sort of D&D setting. But they are your main, uh, most populous culture in the world of Scavenger. There are Kith, which are akin to elves. They're sort of elf-like beings, but they're wild. They're often referred to as wildlings. And then there are Morg. Morg are these massive 8 foot tall, four-armed giant people. And those are the three cultures that you can choose from in Scavenger. Now, of course, it's a role playing game, so if you wanted to bring in something from a different world, a different campaign setting, with the approval of the game master, the dungeon master, it completely could be done very, very easily because it is so compatible with 5th edition. There are new classes. Classes are sort of they're not classes. Let's put it that way. In this, they're called paradigms, and they sort of encompass a lot of different things. So you're not just stuck with warrior or thief or mage. These four actually encompass a lot broader scale of things. There's drifter, there's warlord, invoker, and mystic. So evoker is going to be sort of your magic user, tapping into the shard stones, into the magic of Torn. Mystics are a little bit more on the sort of cleric side of things. They are appealing to a higher power, whether that be a god or a demigod or a demon or some other type of spirit. They are going to fill sort of your cleric type class. I can't wait for the chance to bring this world setting to a table. It is, like I've said before, it is completely unique, and I just, like I said, I'm put a link down below. Please go check this out. I don't think you'll be sorry at all. If you like 5th edition D&D, but you want a nice change, if you want a unique setting that is beautifully wrought, that is completely fresh as far as the way it approaches fantasy, I think you're really going to enjoy this setting of this campaign world setting. There's so much in this book to discuss. I might even make this a series, a mini series, talking about how the shard stones and magic work, about the different cultures, about the world itself. There's just so much to unpack in this. And it is a wonderful product. I'm very happy that I took a chance and took a look at this. It really is a unique look at a way of playing 5th edition that I have not seen before. So until next time, I'm Questwise. Stay safe and game on, my friends.